Hi, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome. Happy Thursday. Welcome to this webinar. Hope you are all feeling good, caffeinated, if that's your thing, hydrated, hopefully, because it's been really hot recently in the UK. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so happy that you can make it this Thursday morning with us. Oh, myself, actually, I'm on my own here, but that's okay. I'm Alexa. I'm the co-founder of HR DataHub. Welcome to our release webinar. I'm going to wait for, as usual, classic webinar starts. We're going to take a couple of minutes for everybody to join, and then we'll get going in this really straightforward session today. I'm just going to show you the latest releases, everything that's cool about benchmarking even more accurately, even faster than you're already doing with HR Data Hub. And hopefully you get to the other end of this 30 minutes and feel like this was awesome. I love this energy. Also, I can benchmark even better than I thought I could. So this is the point of what we're going to try to do together today. So get comfortable, get a cup of tea. I feel like most of you might have that already. But let's get benchmarking together really well. So it's been a couple of minutes. I'm going to start, and then whoever's a tiny bit late can just join when they join. So, as I was saying before, if you caught this, my name is Alexa. If you know me, hi, nice to see you again. If you don't know me, I'm the co-founder of HR Data Hub alongside David Whitfield. Today, I'm going to walk you through the latest features on the HR Data Hub platform. I'm excited to show you this because a lot of those features are features that we've built because a lot of you specifically asked for them. So that's the best kind of releases, when you actually get what you want. So let's go through it. If you've had a lapse moment and you forgot what HR Data Hub is all about, let me tell you all about it. Our general goal and the mission, the reason that we show up to work every day is because we want to help you feel really confident about doing benchmarking. We want to help you feel really consistent with the way that you're going about doing that, because benchmarking should be the point in time where you spend the least amount of time on. Like, your professionalism, all the great work that you're doing is not finding the right data. It's the recommendation that you put forward with that data. So we want to help you with the data part and make sure that you're feeling really good about that, and you're spending the least amount of time possible finding the best type of data possible so that you can make the recommendations as you do. So that's why we're here, and we're going to keep doing that until we nail it every single time and we become the tool that you actually really like to use to do your job. So we are going to talk about the recent release features today. I'm very excited about this. So they're kind of like, our features tend to fall into like two different types of categories. Basically, we really focus on accuracy, right? When we talk about confidence, what makes you feel confident is that you know that this is right, or this is the closest possible to what's right. So recently, we developed lots of different features that I really hope you're already using. And if you're not, I'm going to show you again today really quickly how you can make the most of them. So when you use HR Data Hub, you can make sure that you get to the right, salary insights by filtering by organization. If that's what you're after, you want to look at a specific competitor or set of competitors, you can do that. You can target keywords within a job description so that you can target certain skills and make sure that you're actually comparing apples to apples and not just generalized job title labels. And our absolutely most recent one is the ability to filter, forgot a T there, by industry. So this has been game changing because, sometimes you're looking for jobs that are called the same, but depending on the industry, completely different job. Like, for example, a project manager in the engineering sector, completely different to a project manager in finance, let's say. So I really hope you're making the use of that filter. And if you're not, I'll recap how you can use that today. So that's all happened in the last maybe 3 or 4 months. We've also made it easier for you to be really efficient with the way that you benchmark the first time, but most importantly, how you go back to those benchmarks over time, so that every time you're finding the right combination of filters to find a salary insight, you actually can save that, organize it, so that if someone asks you the same question again 6 months from now, 3 months from now, you have this all saved and you can just really quickly go back. So to do that, in the last few months, we've released the ability to save a search and all the parameters around that search, and then group those saved searches into what we call collections so that you can make sense of them much easier. So all of this has been like really exciting. We've been really happy to see so many of you leveraging those features. And that brings us to our latest two, which are the ones that I'm going to talk about today, which are excluding filters. So the first one we're going to talk about is the ability to exclude a location. If you ever had to benchmark beyond a specific kind of like narrow location, you might think, okay, I know that there are certain cities in the UK that are really skewing the salary kind of trends because there are premiums for these areas, etc. So now we give you the ability to exclude, let's say, London from a nationwide location if you wanted to do that. I'll show you how that works. Also, and this is the absolute latest one, we have introduced the ability to exclude a term from the job title only. So this is in contrast with excluding a keyword or including or excluding a keyword from a job description. And that's something that's been on the platform for ages, right? You're able to target content of the job description. But until now, you weren't able to say, only in the job title, I want to exclude this word. So for example, I want project managers, but not juniors. So, or seniors, let's say. So this is really exciting because we know that they're coded, words that indicate levels, kind of like in the job titles, and the ability to be even more targeted with a type of level of seniority that you want from a job by targeting the job title can be really helpful. It's not an exact science. You can't compare this to like a full-blown, 14 different leveling system, but for a lot of your searches, this is going to be just what you need. So I'm going to show you how we do that today. Time to jump on the demo. If you're still with me, love it. So let me jump onto the platform. You will remember the HR DataHub platform right here. It's looking the exact same. So the biggest difference when you jump onto the platform now is that you'll be able to leverage the exclude filters from the get-go. So you will see this new little button here that looks like a exclusion filter button. If you hover over it, it'll tell you what it is. Click on that, and these two new levels will appear. So the ability to exclude from a term from a job title will be on the left, just under the job title field, and the ability to exclude a selected city from a location will be on the right. So let's take these out for a spin and see how they work. So let's say that I'm looking for software engineer, and I'll just do the exclude a term from the job title to get us started. And I'm looking at this, like, let's just say London, because it's gonna be so many results if we do nationwide. So let's say that I'm running a search. I'll start generalist so that we can see the difference. So you have 834 jobs over the last 26 weeks. Now, if you look at the results, if you look at the one by one, you'll see you have lead, you have junior, you have senior, you have graduate, you have all sorts of different levels. And so I look at that as someone in charge of benchmarking and think, I can't really trust this median because it's all over the show. And even if I use certain keywords, even if I use the range, it's still not going to target exactly, I can tell from the job title that it's not that. Enter the exclude term functionality. So if we're saying I want like a mid-level software engineer, so I'm going to exclude the words graduate, I'm going to exclude the word junior, I'm going to exclude the word lead, and I'm going to exclude the word senior. Because I don't want any of these extremes. I just want a straightforward software engineer. So we're going to rerun the search, apply those filters. We've lost half of our sample. The median has been recalculated. However, I feel a lot more comfortable with where we're at in terms of this mid-level on my sample. So it's really straightforward. You can obviously, there are iterations that you can do using this, but that's going to be the way that you can really target certain levels. I really recommend you try this out. So let's say we're really happy with this. We want a middle of the lane software engineer, and our parameters have changed, and actually we're hiring all over the place, so we're going to do a nationwide search, but I want to exclude the London premium that I think may be happening, or I don't want to hire anybody in London. So you're going to go in this field here and say, I want to exclude London, or maybe I want to exclude London and Manchester. Let's just pick London for now and see what the impact on the results are. So you rerun your search, you hit the search button, and it's going to take a minute to have a think about it. But the idea is for you to really be able to get really specific with what you want, what you don't want, what you want to include, what you want to exclude, so that you can feel really confident with this median pay. So here we've run a nationwide search, exclude London, and we can see that, all of this is reflected in the results. And, obviously, this is where we get to, and that I'm sure you will have your own kind of like use cases of where that's meaningful. And one thing I want to specify is that to exclude a location, you don't need to do a nationwide search. You could say, I want to do Southeast, exclude London, for example. So really, I encourage you to try it and use that as part of the iterations to get to the right level of sampling that is meaningful to you. Just a quick recap on the other recent released features, because this is obviously a starting point. You're starting with a job title and a series of excluded words from that job title. You're starting with the location, but there's so many more things that you can do. You can obviously look at the pay type, in terms of what type of pay is offered for these jobs. You can target certain keywords within the job description. So for example, if I did want to only see C# software engineers, I could write C# in here and it would filter those. I can say I only want to look at software engineers in specific industries. So for example, here, if you remember how this works, or if you've seen this before, if you haven't seen it, the way that this industry filter works is that, and I really like that because it helps me be much more kind of targeted, is that it tells you straight away, even before you choose what industry you want to filter to, how many jobs are being advertised by organizations that sit within these industries. So if you're looking at all of that and you're saying, okay, well, a lot of them are in tech, surprise, surprise, but actually we're an organization in manufacturing. So I kind of only want to see those. And I know that my sample will be manageable because there's 81 jobs in there. So you can select manufacturing, click the apply button, and your sample will get refreshed and only show you these 81 jobs for software engineers that exclude all of these words, that exclude London, for organizations in the manufacturing sector. Now we're getting somewhere that feels really comparable, and it took us 3 filters to get to that. So you can do that. And then if you have a specific organization in mind, remember that you can use the organization filter. So let's say you are a direct competitor of, I don't know, whatever, Stagecoach, the coach company. And you could say, okay, I want to write this. I want to look at them specifically, and I want to see what they're offering. For the organization filter, this is my top tip for you. I like to look at that and sometimes not even put a job title. You can do that, right? So you can remove all of those fields and just select a location or just do nationwide and say, I just want to see all the jobs that they're offering. And sometimes I do that, and I also say, I want to see all the jobs that this organization is offering that mention the word call center. And so sometimes when I do benchmarking for HR DataHub, it helps me kind of get out of the box in terms of what are they calling this job. It doesn't matter. If they're offering a job that mentions call center, I want to see what they're calling that, and I want to see what they're offering for that. And with the use of the different filters and the different combination, you're able to see that. So I encourage you to give it a go. In this context here, let's say that we got to the point where we're feeling good about software engineers, and the way that we've benchmarked here for the manufacturing industry. You say, okay, I actually want to save that. So I'm going to call it software engineers manufacturing, and it's gonna save my search, because let's say that it took me a few iterations to get to that point. I don't want to lose that information or have to do it all over again. So I'm just going to save it. And that's going to go straight to be saved in here on the top left-hand corner, my saved searches. So here's what it's going to look like when you go into your saved searches. You're going to have the title that you decided, and you can change that at any point in time. The job title that you selected and any excluded term. So it's going to show you in red if you mentioned that you wanted to exclude certain search terms. That's really helpful because you don't want to have to click again into all of them to remember what are the filters or the parameters that you decided on those job titles. It's going to give you the median pay of the last time that you looked at that, the pay type that you were looking at, and if you've the location that you selected, and if you've excluded any location. So remember, in this example, I had excluded London, so it's showing me this, the time frame that I had selected and when I did that. So all of this is really helpful. Obviously, here you have all of your saved searches, and then you can say, I actually want to organize these searches into a collection, which is a group of saved searches, and I want to do this into high-risk roles because I want to keep an eye on those and make sure that I can go back and find those in the very long list of saved searches that I have. And that's what you can do. So you can create here as many collections as you want, name them whatever you want, add them, delete them, change them, and then focus on these jobs and keep yourself organized so that you can be super efficient next time you have to do this again. So that's what I would say, is kind of like happening with those safe searches. Now, I'm keeping an eye on the webinar questions, and I'm so sorry, Nicole, your question came in 7 minutes ago, and I was all inside my benchmarking example, so I didn't see it. But let's talk about this. For everybody, if you haven't seen the chat, Nicole is saying, I found the levels are subjective. Would there be a way to select engineers with X number of years of experience? Honestly, Nicole, I think like this would be ideal because sometimes years of experience have a much more stronger correlation to actually what you're benchmarking versus job title labels. I completely agree with you. The thing that we're seeing is that this is dependent on the information that is posted in the job description. So if an organization says, I want someone with, you need to have X plus years of experience, then we have this information, and we could be able to develop a feature that says mentions between this years and this years. But the level of consistency that organizations have in actually putting that information in job description is very all over the show at the moment. It's not something that's consistent. So for us, and the way that we look at, okay, what filters can we create? What is really consistent? What is in the majority of the job descriptions? Unfortunately, consistent levels of years of experience, so far what we find is not one of them. But that's a bit of research that we're running in a background with data science to always analyze what is included in job descriptions, what is not, what could we build a filter on that actually would work for the majority of them. And that's where we're hitting a roadblock at the moment. But I completely agree with you that would be a much better way of getting to that point for certain roles, especially when we're talking about like higher levels of seniority, obviously with graduates, etc. No, but I hope that answers like why we also agree that would be good, but we haven't been able to develop that just yet. Joanna makes a really good point though, that it could be discriminatory, potentially, and also sometimes what we've seen sometimes is people say 4+. So 4+ could be 4 years or it could be 15 years. So sometimes that's a bit difficult. But as we all know, benchmarking is not an exact science, especially when you're playing with live data from the job market, because the way that people write job description, the way that they position their perception of the skill that they want a candidate to have, that's in itself very subjective. So interesting, very interesting debate to have. Maybe we need to host a little power group and have a little kind of like conversation about that. But yeah, I love seeing your back and forth in the group chat about this. Thanks a lot, ladies. If anybody has any opinions about this, Pop your opinion in the chat. I think that's something that a lot of us struggle with, especially when you're getting to, mid to senior levels. It all gets very subjective, and it's a complicated one to nail. So we have a few minutes left. I want to talk to you about what's coming next, because I'm very excited about that. As a tech company, our entire focus is to continuously innovate in the world of benchmarking, which, hasn't seen a lot of innovation in a really long time. So we are always really excited to be able to do just a little other thing differently, slightly better, and hearing what you have to say about this and what you really want. So keep sending us your feedback, keep letting us know what would change, what would be a game changer for you, what's really annoying and you want it fixed, because we want to hear about that. So this is what's coming up on the product roadmap for HR DataHub in the coming months. We are starting to venture in the world of benefits. Now, before you get all excited about this, I hope that maybe we could have a really good conversation about this, is that not all benefits are benchmarked equally, not all benefits are funded equally, especially when they are part of a package. So for us, when we look at benefits, we really understand that it's not a monolith, and there are things that are that can be really consistent across job descriptions and are technically much more part of a compensation package than others that are perks or opportunities to be funded by the employee. So we're tentatively working our way through what would be the most meaningful perspective to bring. And the first one that we are going to launch to market is a performance bonus indicator. So essentially what we're looking at here is any job descriptions that mention performance bonus, so that's a commission, things like that are really tied to the performance of the individual in that role. And what we're developing is the ability for you not only to see the prevalence of that type of bonus in the job description at a really high level, so in that in that table where you can see all the results, like being able to see straight away, yeah, this mentions a performance bonus, or show me only the jobs that mention a performance bonus for this search. And on top of that, the ability to really quickly zone in on the part of the job description that mentions what type of performance bonus is involved. So there's been a lot of AI and a lot of data science going through millions and millions and millions of jobs and trying to extract this information. We will be launching this as a beta in the next couple of weeks. And as customers of HR DataHub, this will be automatically launched for you. So you don't have to worry about, do I need to access requests to this or not? We will be showcasing this in your accounts. We really look forward to your feedback, if that's helpful, if that's not. And honestly, we've had a lot of conversations about this, and we know that performance bonus is only really relevant for certain category of roles. So it might not apply to a lot of the searches that you're doing potentially, but for the ones where this is a really important part of the compensation package, it could be a game changer. So we look forward to hearing what you have to say about that and whether that's helpful. What else would you like to see in that space? Something else that we will be releasing in the next month or so, over the next 4 weeks, is an expansion of our also known as job titles. Now, this is a piece of feedback that we've received from a lot of you, where the problem sometimes when you're benchmarking is that the onus is on you to have to think of all the different ways that this job could be called on the job market. And that sometimes is really, first of all, is really difficult to do. And it's very limiting, because let's say that you forget one variation of the job title, that actually cuts out these results from your sample. So it's kind of like retraining yourself how to think about all the possible ways to call this job. And that's something that we really realize is, a way in which we're not helping. So we want to help, and we will help by automatically adding a much improved list of also known as job titles to your searches automatically. Now, obviously, you can remove them if you don't agree with those, but the onus is not on you to come up with all the alternatives. As an example of that, you could put sales rep, and we will automatically add business development representative, sales development representative, account executive, all the different ways that we know from our research and our database that's continuously kind of being updated, what are the most frequently used alternatives for the job title that you've put in, and we'll add that automatically so that we expand your sample significantly, and we help you maybe catch some of the jobs that could fall within that search. If they don't work for you, obviously we'll be able to remove them, but at least we'll give you a head start on that. So again, really excited to see what if that makes a difference in the way that you're searching, in the type of results that you're getting, and if that makes your life slightly easier. And especially for you and for anybody else on your team that's just jumping on HR DataHub to do a quick search and is not using that necessarily all day, every day. Yeah, maybe that will make it slightly easier. So this is the 1 month perspective, but a lot of things in the pipeline. So keep an eye out for all the marketing emails, all of the great communication that we're sending out on these. And don't hesitate to send us a word on how you feel about it, because we do incorporate that in what we're launching. I also want to draw in the last couple of minutes of this webinar that we have together today, the knowledge kind of pieces that you have at your disposal to power up what you're doing. So it's not something that's necessarily in platform. It's a lot of the different bits of content and toolkits and all of this kind of stuff that we're putting out that could actually help you. So we've launched reward school webinars since the start of this year, which essentially go over the basics of rewards, benefits, etc. If you have someone on your team that's starting out, or you're thinking about bringing them in onto the benchmarking components of kind of like your internal practice, these webinars are amazing because they really cover the thing end to end. They're made for people, for normal people to understand them, people that don't necessarily have the expertise. So I really recommend you kind of like share those links. They're available on our website. We have built toolkits that can help you build pay bands, sorry, etc. Sorry, I shouldn't die before the end of this webinar. So definitely use the toolkits. Again, they're on the website. Benefits mappers, and our latest release is a savings calculator. So how can you explain to anybody in your business the potential savings from benchmarking efficiently at scale within your organization? So ROI type thing. So definitely leverage that. Okay. I haven't died before the end of this webinar, so I feel like this is a win, but I hope that beyond that, the win is definitely that you feel really confident about using those new features and that you make the most of HR DataHub. Claire, I've seen your question come through. I'm super happy to answer that. We are definitely going to be looking at other benefits down the line. The next one so this is all exclusive and confidential between the 21 of us that are on this. So don't go LinkedIn mentioning about it. But the next one that we're looking at are remote or hybrid working, because actually that has a really big impact on the compensation package at times. And then a few of those, but those are the ones that for which the work is already on the way in terms of like the data science behind it. But if you have benefits that you think I really need to know about this, and I feel like this is across most job descriptions, so you guys should be able to do that, I'd love to hear what you have to say. Emily, thank you so much for your comment. It was a delight to spend this time with you and everybody else this morning. Don't hesitate to reach out to us. I think many of you have my email address, someone's email address. We're real human beings behind HR DataHub, and we want to help. So reach out. And as Becky says, go on our website to leverage all of the different things that can help make your life better. Have a really good day. Take care. Stay hydrated, and talk to you soon. See you soon. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a good day. Bye.